Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the newest episode of the Starroadpodcast featuring me, Sterling, and this man, Tyler. How are you, Tyler?
Sterling, it's a pleasure to hear your voice on this fine afternoon.
Oh, I'd have to agree about you, bro. This is the peak of doing this. The coverage we're
Yeah.
doing today is definitely the best part of doing this
The
with
best
you.
part of our jobs here.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
because we got a big Nintendo Direct.
Really excited to get into it. It sort of just kind of came out of nowhere a little bit. Like, we really weren't expecting anything anytime soon. It got announced with like 2 days' notice, and
Yep.
then it just blew our minds right open. Like, I don't know what else to say.
That's what we look forward to, man. And we love getting caught off guard. And yep, 2
Absolutely.
days notice, man. And that's a reminder you're definitely setting. And I caught it live and loved it, man. I might
did
have even
too.
spoiled a few things for you. It's funny because everybody's always spoiled the Direct for me. But this time, maybe I might have got ahead of myself and maybe spoiled a thing or two for you. I don't know.
No, I was actually in the car on the way to IKEA watching it.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Instead of the road.
As a passenger, I was
Oh,
passengering.
okay. We
Yeah,
don't want
yeah,
to
it was
set a
all
bad
good, don't worry.
example. Yeah.
No, I was just a passenger.
Yeah, so we're going to cover the Direct today. That's pretty exciting. But we also have a review we're doing, which is something we don't do for every game.
No, but it had to be done, and we did tease it on the last episode as well.
We did, but it's for Pokemon Legends Arceus.
Yeah. Man, we have so much to talk about. I cannot believe it. But we have a top 5 list as well. I don't even want to get into the Arceus stuff until we get to it because there's just so much to say. But I'm really, really excited.
The top 5, I'm excited as well. I'm also excited for the top 5, though, which is going to be top 5 magical game release memories.
I get just like a little smile on my face just thinking about it. We're going to have so much to talk about that is just pure nostalgia.
And it's solely based around release, right? Like release date.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
there's so
Things that we
many.
got on or around the time that they released.
Yeah, there's a lot of games we got in love and we're so hype on that we got way after the fact, right? They were
100%.
new
Yeah.
to us,
Hmm.
but they weren't particularly new on the market, you know.
But in these cases, it was things that, for me at least, a lot of them that had a lot of anticipation leading up to the release, which made the release that much more exciting.
Definitely, a lot of that had to do. We'll talk about it, I'm sure, dude. TV commercials, big part of it, which was basically I mean, that's how they marketed to us. Is the only way, you know. That and magazines, but we'll talk more about it when we get to it. First off, you know, we got to come with the news. And we just wanted to start the news off with Tyler having a passing birthday,
Another year older.
another year bolder, and a few more items in the collection, and one of them a pretty big deal to me.
Yeah, and it wasn't even the one that you
And
sent
it
me.
wasn't even the one that I sent. Yeah.
Yeah, so after last week, you really came out of nowhere and sent me Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze after we touched on that game a little bit in the last episode, which was pretty exciting.
I knew you'd enjoy
Unfortunately, I
that.
haven't even had a chance to play it or open it yet because trying to get as much time on Arceus as possible with all my Switch time.
Tyler's a busy man, people. We're all busy men.
Yeah, but yeah, really excited to get into Tropical Freeze, and a lot of people thought we might get a Donkey Kong announcement on this Direct, which we ultimately didn't.
I was dying for it, dude. I was waiting for it. I really was. Hey, just disclaimer, I am so happy with this Direct, but man, I really was looking for DK. No question.
Yep. But as well, my fiance picked up a used original NES for me.
And NES, people, if anybody knows anything about this saga we've got going here, it's that I've been enthusiastic about NES and have kind of been on the opposite side of Tyler from that, just because Tyler doesn't particularly involve himself with it. Yeah, so now you're an NES owner, Brent. You got a couple games,
Yep.
so
Really excited to start getting a few essentials together for it.
yeah,
everything.
and Care Package 3.0 is coming also, because I'll be sending a few things Tyler's way for him and some of his close people in his life. His mother, shout out to his mom. So that'll be exciting, man. You have an NES now.
Yep, and it'll be hooked up before you know it. And actually going to get some time in on the NES, which I don't think I've ever really done. Like in terms of really been able to spend hours in front of an NES and play a game. Never really happened for me before.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sending some NES related stuff to Tyler, but he already knows. I told him. I'll be sending over a working zapper, so that Super Mario Bros. Duck Hunt you'll be playing the Duck Hunt, because I have
that's
all
really
working zappers, man.
That's really exciting.
Yep.
Can't wait for that.
I'm sure you'll love that, dude. There really is longevity in Duck Hunt. I really think you can play that game for an extended amount of time and have a lot of fun, especially if you're playing with more than one person.
I had a friend who had it as a kid, and I absolutely loved it. So I'm excited to own it for myself.
I've actually never drank and played Duck Hunt, but I bet that's a great drinking game.
No question.
So you'll be able to host that. That'll be cool, man. Duck Hunt drunk night, you know?
Yeah. Drunk Hunt.
Drunk Hunt, yep. So, exciting birthday for Tyler and a busy time. Hope you got to take a breath for a moment when you had your birthday. Probably not, but...
Not really.
Well...
No, this whole last couple weeks has been dedicated to moving and everything.
You can breathe while we record the podcast, man. Just relax.
Yep.
But
I'm too hyped to talk about the Direct to relax.
Definitely. And Arceus, of course, but...
Of course.
Aside from that... I got a couple of N64 retro pickups. Me and Tyler have been talking about imports. We've talked about the prices of particularly U.S. retro games, it seems, these days. You find some expensive PAL stuff, you know, but we talk about, I wonder what this is going for, you know, when we're on the phone and whatnot. We'll look, and it's just crazy, man.
Unbelievable.
I think Pokemon Stadium 2 is the most recent one I can recall. You looking up and just... We're shocked, you know?
Unfortunate. Really want that game.
Yeah. So I wound up picking up Mario Golf 64, $10 Japanese. I'm starting to realize imports are the way. I really
Next
am.
level,
I mean,
especially on something like that, where
dude,
you really have no need to read the game at all.
I mean, it's an authentic copy, and you just swap the back with a U.S. cartridge, and you're in. And something like Mario Golf, you don't have to read anything.
Shout outs to Superman.
Absolutely. That's one of the backs we swapped. That's a funny thing you bring up. But I also got the boxed paper Mario. That was the most unexpected thing I got, for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But
how's the box look?
Oh, man, it's immaculate. It's crazy. Everything's in it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. Cartridges. And I was actually telling my girl about this. If you buy a complete and boxed game, it's pretty much understood the cartridge is going to be flawless because it was kept in a box. And the box was kept nice. It's like the box even existing is a reflection of the cartridge's condition for the most part.
Definitely.
So anytime you buy a box game, you're going to get a flawless cartridge. And then I got Microsoft Rare Replay on Xbox One. Second physical Xbox One game I own. That's hilarious. Probably the smallest collection I have. I don't even know if you can call that a collection. But got some other hype stuff I plan on coming in. We'll talk about later on future episodes. Other than that, though, we have a big thing. We always have to talk about Mario Golf Super Rush on every episode, but today we have a reason for it.
We really do talk about it on every single
one. It comes up.
It's almost a meme at this point.
Yeah, but I think today we have actual news on it, so it totally warrants it, and we can get it out the way, even though it's going to come up later because it's something else probably. But it's Mario Golf Super Rush's monthly outfit, coming right off the heels of Mario's NES Open Tournament Golf. They must have known Tyler got an NES, because this month it's Luigi's NES Open Tournament Golf outfit, and that is exciting.
Is Open Tournament an expensive game?
I actually looked it up because I thought about ordering it and sending it to your house. You can get it for about $17.
That's not too bad at all.
It's not bad at all. And, you know, actually, I was playing it on the NES Online a few days ago.
Oh, it is on there, too.
It is.
I forgot about that.
And it's nice. Very difficult. The wind on that game, nothing like the wind on Super Rush. Let me just tell you, when they say 7 miles per hour, they mean it's extreme. So there's a curve there, I have got to tell you. But I played for a while and made it happen, and it was very fun.
Mm-hmm.
But I was not performing like I do on Super Rush. Let me just tell you.
Yeah, man, you've been sending me a bunch of hole-in-one clips.
Well, that's because I was doing the one-on-one putt mode, and I'm two of them away. I got it, like I said, the New Donk City Pro Course and the special Shell Top, which is that was weird. It said special clubs to take on certain holes, and I'm like, that's an interesting. I don't recall us having like a special mode like that we could play together at least, you know.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
Yeah, so there's a lot of potential for hole-in-ones. Doesn't numb the excitement of getting one.
No, it's always awesome.
I think you even said that, man, that it was going to be like, you know, hole-in-one central. And it certainly is. Yeah. But it's cool to see that Luigi got his open tournament golf outfit because, you know, if you boot the game up, you're greeted with Mario and Luigi in those outfits. And they got...
It's a beautiful thing.
You know, like some peaches behind them that are like the babes, the golf babes. So it's cool that now they both have that NES respect. So I immediately had to unlock that. And I actually performed pretty well. That was what was funny about it. And got it pretty quickly, man. I'd say about 10 games done.
That's not too bad at all.
Nah. But we're always going to bring up these monthly outfits, and it made me wonder. I wonder what we might get for DK. I told you I'm working on his Superstar Club set now. But it'd be cool if they had like the white Kong from Tropical Freeze and all that. You know, that'd be cool. But they'd probably have some type of tie, which would still be hype.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Can we just
like
get Diddy though? Like,
something.
Just give us Diddy, and you could keep DK with no outfit.
Yeah, a Diddy skin for DK. He's wearing like Diddy's shirt and a jetpack. Like, but it's
that is DK. Revolutionary.
Like really
you are. I've said it before. You got a big brain on you. But it's time to get into the direct. The first half of 2022 Nintendo Direct.
Yeah.
So
and there was a lot. We have a lot to talk about on this.
We absolutely do. I was thinking about how when they talk about the first half of the year, that really covers a lot of ground. Now that leaves a lot of room for things to be announced later in the year. But that's basically a lot to get at once to have half of the year laid out. Some of these are coming even later.
Potentially, yeah. There was a lot of stuff that was fall or
September
2022.
Yeah. I mean, one of the biggest announcements is September.
Yeah.
So, you know, it makes you wonder how much more we're going to get for the year. But, I mean, we know Nintendo. There's going to be big shit going on by the time the holidays hit. You know.
No question. Even sooner than that, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely.
There's games that we know about, like Breath of the Wild 2, that are coming this year that we just don't know when.
November's a hot month, it seems, for Nintendo. Just right off the top. I feel like November's always a hot month. But kicking off the Direct, first thing they roll into Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes. Coming out June 24th. Basically, the new Fire Emblem Warriors game, basically in the same franchise, I believe, is like the Hyrule Warriors game. It's a, you know, not anything.
It's a hack and slash.
Hack and slash, no turn-based, you know, just featuring the franchise. But this is the Three Houses character.
Universe. Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. I think Three Houses is awesome. I think you even picked that up, didn't you?
I own it, but I still haven't really played it very much.
Yeah, and that's one that my girl owns. I don't personally own it, but she does, and I have played it. Good game.
Yeah.
But it was cool to see that now the Warriors franchise gets the Three Houses representation. Everybody wanted like a main series Fire Emblem, but hey, dude, you get so much.
Three Houses is still relatively fresh.
I would say, yeah, but big Fire Emblem fans dump a lot of time into these games, so I could see them wanting for a game before, you know, a year or two maybe. But let's get realistic, Tyler. These games take time to develop, and the Fire Emblem games are very high quality.
Always.
in the same vein as Fire Emblem, we have some more news on Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp.
Mm-hmm.
So we already knew that was coming in April 8th. But they talked about a few more game modes. Most notably, I wanted to bring up the player-made custom maps. You love to see it.
Those are really cool looking, yeah.
Anytime one of these games, especially like Wargroove I brought up before, is basically the same gameplay. I think the player-made maps is one of the most fun things. It's just a Mario Maker style. Anybody's creations you can look at, play, download, have a whole database. You love to see that for these games.
Absolutely.
Endlessly replayable if you enjoy the gameplay. And then a lot of leaderboard rankings and things like that. Cool to see that. I actually think I'm definitely going to pick up this.
Most likely, yeah. Do we know what the price on this is?
I'm pretty sure it's going to be a $60 game.
That's a lot.
It's a $60 game because I looked into pre-ordering it on Amazon. I just haven't pulled the trigger yet.
I might wait until that goes on sale at some point.
Pulled the trigger on Kirby and the Forgotten Land and Triangle Strategy. That's my 2 current active pre-orders.
Yeah.
My next thought was this game, but I'm on the fence. And it's just because Triangle Strategy, dude, I don't want to get a bunch of tactical games all at once.
That's going to dominate for a while.
And it's so funny to see all these tactical, like, turn-based games coming out all at once. And I'm like, dude, it's a strange time to all decide to do this. But Triangle Strategy...
Even Arceus has a little bit of obviously, it's turn-based, but there's a lot of gameplay in that feels more RPG-like, which obviously we'll get into that. But it sits in the same basket too.
Yeah, but with this type of game, I feel...
No, I know.
Yeah.
But I'm saying you're still in, just in terms of the volume of RPGs there are to play, it seems like it's an ever-expanding list for us.
Definitely. But when you come to the tactical side of it, I definitely feel like I want to dedicate that type of gameplay, what I put into that type of gameplay, to Triangle Strategy. Because I'm very interested in progressing through it and experiencing it. So it's going to be hard to focus on 2 games that play similarly but with their own mechanics at the same time. Advance Wars on the list, though. Cool to see the custom content. I mean, you love to see it. The next thing, something that I think Tyler expressed some interest in, a bit more than me. I'm indifferent, but No Man's Sky is coming to Switch this summer.
Oh yeah, this game, I think it came out around like 2017 on PlayStation, and it came out with an incredibly huge like list of features and stuff that were very, very hyped by the developer, and it disappointed a lot of people on launch. It didn't really deliver on a lot of what the developer had kind of promised in terms of gameplay and features, and then like slowly but surely, pretty much ever since then, they've just been adding content and improving the game and like really putting into it the kind of effort that people wanted, and sort of they've listened to a lot of the fan feedback and stuff about what was wrong with the game. And from what I've heard, the game is actually incredibly fun now. It's like a procedurally generated, like, incredibly large universe that you just go from planet to planet and harvest resources and like progress that way and try and identify species and stuff like that. And it just sounds incredibly fun. It's just one of these big, expansive space exploration type games. So I may pick this up depending on if I can get it for a good, reasonable price, because I actually had an interest in playing it on launch. Never really did because of kind of the reception, and now I've just heard that, you know, it's gotten better and better over time. So definitely interested to give this one a try.
Yeah, I remember the controversy with it initially when it came out. And I remember you maybe even saying on the podcast that they made good and kind of really went back and worked on the game a lot. Still not one I'm interested in. I can't particularly say it looks bad, but it's just one that doesn't really draw me in to want to play it. I don't know. It's not to hate on the game.
I think it's probably pretty time consuming.
Yeah, but anyway, cool to see it coming to Switch. Anything that wants to come on over to Switch, it's welcome.
Definitely.
Maybe some weird stuff we'd rather it not be on it, but that's nothing we can control, Tyler. So next thing you are going to lose control over. On the Direct, we got Mario Strikers Battle League, Tyler.
We
It,
we could call this the Mario Sports Podcast
we really could.
because it's so much of what we talk about. So you already know that this is like a big purchase that is coming in. We live for these games.
Yes, we do. And I'm going to be honest with you, Tyler. I told you I kind of felt like we might have been in a place where we wouldn't get another huge Mario sports game. I feel like we've gotten some big sports games on the Switch. And
Interesting to see that it actually is going to be almost a year to the day since Mario Golf.
it's a
when it
very
comes
good
out.
point. Very close because we just got Super Rush this past year. And I don't believe it was the beginning of the year. I mean, we were into the year
No,
a
I want
bit.
to say it was like June 30th, which is right around the time of Strikers, right?
That's a good point. Yeah. Mario
June or April,
Strikers
somewhere in
Battle
there.
League. This is coming June 10th, sooner than that, actually.
Oh, yeah, nice.
But there's a whole lot we could say about this game that we're going to talk about when we get more information. Of course, we're going to be hyping this up. Nintendo will be hyping this up. This is going to be a big seller. It's almost
Yeah,
a
it seems-
meme at this point to how bad people want a new Strikers game. And they delivered
they're
on
making
this.
good on that.
Oh, they are. And this is like the same. I feel the same way, and I know you do too, about every single other sports game announcement by them on the Switch. That same excitement. Like, it's not amped up that it's
Absolutely.
Strikers. I feel like it really could have been any sport, any specific one sport that isn't like an Olympic Games one,
Right.
and I'd have the same ecstatic emotion for it. But
Definitely.
Strikers just it makes it that much better.
I agree.
They talked
I think
about
it's going to be really
they
nice.
talked about the online club thing, and that's so funny because Tyler immediately mentioned that, and that really stuck out to me.
I am a sucker, and it's so funny. I'm a sucker for sports games with like a dynasty mode, right? Like a progression season based.
Yeah,
mode.
yeah.
And I've played a lot of sports games in the past. Really enjoyed that, that type of gameplay. So the fact that we could potentially start up a club and do like a dynasty and have our team, our squad, that's so fun to think about.
Yep. I think we settled on a name. Star Road Strikers.
Yeah, we're gonna have to make it happen with that because I'm really excited to play a club. That's gonna be really fun.
Yep. If you want to join the Star Road Strikers, hit us up.
Yeah, that's right.
starroadpodcast@gmail.com.
That's right.
But this is definitely one of the hypest announcements on the Direct by far. Not to take any shine from anything else, but you've got to admit this is a shining star on any Direct. They gave us some more information on Splatoon 3. I don't know how you feel about Splatoon, Tyler, but I just, like I said before, I don't see myself diving into the series anytime soon, personally.
Pretty much the same.
Games
Looks fun,
look
but-
great. Games look fun.
Yeah.
But they announced Salmon Run Next Wave, a co-op mode.
Mm-hmm.
Which anytime they introduce co-op, it does make any game sound more enticing.
Definitely.
Especially to people like us who have significant others that also game.
Mhm.
So it's cool to see there's a co-op mode. That's definitely something that would sell me on the game further if I had some interest. But Splatoon, just not something I dive on. Maybe the Splatoon Joy-Cons I own and you do, but as far as the games,
Maybe someday.
maybe someday. The next one I wanted to bring up just because it was interesting, honestly, Tyler, Disney Speedstorm.
Yeah, I thought this was kind of interesting too. It looks kind of neat. It's like a free to play game, like permanently free to play.
It's funny because you say Disney Kart Racer and free to play, and that comes off a bit sideways.
Strange.
But
Yeah.
the funny thing is, actually watching the direct and seeing the game, it actually looked pretty high quality. That's what was interesting about it.
The graphics were definitely good.
It was pretty.
for
It
sure.
looked. I mean, obviously, it looks a lot like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe visuals. If you want to get quality, into the quality talk, but thought it was interesting.
I'll try anything out.
Yeah.
I'll try anything out if it's free to play.
Yeah, I'm not particularly off top interested in a Disney kart racer, but this was interesting. I mean, to see it free to play, of course, there's going to be a lot of pay to win mechanics and a lot of purchasable content. That's to be expected, right?
Yeah, we'll have to see about that, but I definitely will download it and see what it's like just for the sake of it being free to play.
Yeah, I mean, why not, right?
Yeah.
A game that kind of, I guess you could expect it at this point, the amount of Star Wars games we see on Switch, but Star Wars The Force Unleashed.
From everything I've heard, this is the lightsaber game to play.
Have you played it?
No.
Oh, okay. I actually played through the original one on, I think, a 360. It's a pretty awesome game. It's not one that I would go back and be like, oh, I have to own this on Switch.
Definitely.
But there is a port coming to Switch on 420. How you like that, Tyler?
Nice. The more Star Wars games, the better, in my opinion. I think that seeing these games ported and continuing to be ported is a good sign.
Yeah, we got Jedi Outcast, Jedi Academy, just
Knights of the Old Republic.
Racer. Yeah, a lot of really good Star Wars games. So just keep bringing them over. It'd be cool if they had Dark Forces, but I wouldn't particularly want to play that on the controller, though.
Yeah, but there's so many good ones out there.
Yeah, so look forward to that if you're a Star Wars fan, but I feel like I got everything I wanted to out of Force Unleashed. It is cool you get the local lightsaber battling. If that was online, that might be pretty fun to be lightsaber battling each other online, one-on-one.
I can't imagine any latency like that would just wreck the whole thing.
I mean, you would imagine me and you one-on-one in some small arena. That should be pretty easy for them to handle.
Hopefully.
Yeah. But maybe you'd be more interested in this as well. They announced Assassin's Creed, the Ezio collection. Ezio. Sorry.
Yep. I've played all three of these games.
See, that goes to show you I'm really not an Assassin's Creed fan at all.
I have played these three games to completion along with the first Assassin's Creed game, and those are the only games that I ever played in the series. But the three games in the Ezio collection are very good. I'll be honest, they're probably, as far as I'm concerned, the best of the franchise as I know it. Obviously, I've played bits and pieces of the later games, and the core formula is always there. But I am a big fan of these games to the point where I would consider picking up this trilogy on a decent sale just because I have played these games actually quite thoroughly, and I feel a good familiarity with them, and I quite like them.
That's pretty cool, dude. Zero interest on my end. But
I would say if you ever did want to try out Assassin's Creed, like if anybody was ever interested in being like, I've never really gotten into Assassin's Creed, but it seems cool. I don't know what I would get into first, though. This trilogy would probably be what I would recommend to them. So I think that's noteworthy, at least.
No, definitely. I like seeing like we said, any game that wants to come to the Switch. I mean, it's totally welcome. Assassin's Creed's a game I've played a few of the games, it never really pulled me in. I think the concept of them is really cool. And I can understand the appeal, but everybody's got their own thing,
Yeah, man.
The next thing is definitely my thing, and that's Chrono Cross Remaster.
Yeah, I knew that you'd be excited.
It's called Chrono Cross, the Radical Dreamers Edition, coming April 7th. Now, I love Chrono Trigger, love Chrono Cross. I mean, love everything. Come on, dude. This is like the Square Enix podcast. So it's amazing to see this coming to Switch. I think it said it was like $50. That's pretty steep for a remaster. Now, you do get the text-based game called Radical Dreamers. Apparently, it came out on the Satellaview. I don't know anything about Satellaview. But it's a text-based game that kind of brings the origins of Chrono Cross up. Cool that they packaged that in. but I still think that $50 is, you're going to get time out of this game. I mean, there's a lot to get out of it, man. But at the same time, I mean, you wouldn't spend $50 perhaps on, other RPGs getting ported.
No. Cool to see it.
Definitely, yeah.
Fans of the
my
franchise
interest
and
is going to
everything.
remain for that. And we've got
another one to wait for.
another RPG on the list. Well, a few that are in hot contention for purchase, though, and definite purchase in some case.
Just looking at RPGs that are on this direct list, it makes it hard to compete for time.
Now, the next one is a guaranteed purchase from the Star Road podcast. So 2 copies Nintendo coming here. Kirby and the Forgotten Land.
Yeah. Plus, at least one more copy, probably per our significant others.
That's a great point. Yep, I double purchased Arceus, and I could see this being one I'd double purchase as well. Now, they did announce co-op for the game, so that's a big plus. You can play through the game. I don't know if we mentioned this or if it's been announced since, but you can play through the game with the second player as a Waddle Dee.
Yeah, that's really exciting.
I mean, that's awesome. You gotta love that.
I can't wait to queue up as Waddle Dee myself.
Oh, man. I'm sure the girls will love playing as Kirby anyway, so we can just enjoy Waddle Dee.
Yep.
So we mentioned before, that's coming out March 25th. Can't wait for it. Now, they announced Mouthful mode, which really brings this to the Odyssey level. Like I said, this is basically Cappy in this game.
Except for most of the stuff that you're picking up is all like huge, and it looks hilarious when Kirby eats it.
And it's inanimate objects, too. It's not living creatures. So there's an extreme difference there, but they showed him swallowing a car, and then you're mounted. That's basically your mount. You're moving on a vehicle. Yep. Swallows a vending machine. He's shooting cans as a projectile. I mean, there's a whole list here of like really cool ideas that it seems like they implemented very well. The water balloon, that was like Splatoon. They showed like the ink, or actually like Super Mario Sunshine. They had the ink, and you used the water balloon, So that was really cool, man. The Arch Kirby, like flying through the rings, like aerial. It just seems like this game is going to be so versatile, man. There's just going to be
really, really excited for it.
But never, I don't think they would ever take Kirby to a level where it's overwhelming, though. I feel like in Kirby games, they give you everything at such a nice, steady pace that you use everything one at a time. You're not,
Exactly.
But they announced something that kind of reminded me of the Chow Garden. I know it's not the same exact thing, but Waddle Dee Town, you just love to have a little side, like, area that expands with you as you progress through the game. You kind of access more of this, like, hub, basically. I mean,
I love that, man.
Love it.
Building up the hub area to be better and better.
Yeah.
That's a mechanic that I can always get behind.
Definitely. Shout out to Loop Hero. A lot of that is that game.
Nice.
But
there's a big part of the third game in the Ezio trilogy that's actually based around that as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The Ezio. See, I got it now.
Ezio, yep.
But that is really something to see what they're doing with Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Evolving abilities is another thing I know got you.
Absolutely. My jaw dropped when I saw that you could level up your abilities and everything.
Yeah, and they were totally transparent with how it was going to work because they showed all the differences with the aerial camera view just to show you just how evolved the abilities become. So, I mean, it seems like there's some RPG elements in this, and I'm all there for it.
Yep, every game's going to be an RPG before long.
That's fine with me. Honestly, I could live in that world and be fine.
Yep.
But we're gonna go on a little bummer here, and then the rest of it is smooth sailing for the most part, peeps. But Kingdom Hearts Cloud versions are coming. I didn't even write a date down, Tyler. I mean, it's just a bummer, dude. I'm gonna be honest with you.
It's out already.
I was so bummed that I didn't even bother to put dates. I think they may have become available the day of the direct or the.
Yeah, I think it's out already.
It's just a big bummer, man, because
we hate these Cloud Edition games.
Dude, I would love to have at least Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 on the Switch. I haven't experienced past it recently. Yeah.
How there should be a Kingdom Hearts collection available.
And it's cloud only now, and we've Tyler talked at great length about the Hitman fiasco. We've got to fear it happening again. And on top of that, man, even if the game performed, I mean, we've talked about just merely purchasing a $60 cloud game.
What's the point?
What's the point, man? I mean, especially
just put the game on, like put the game out. What's the big deal?
Yeah, I mean, like PlayStation 2 game, like you can't put that
so
on a
lazy.
cartridge.
Yeah,
because nobody's asking for a remaster of any sort.
No, it doesn't need it.
So anyway,
and those games are remastered already. Like all the versions that are on the cloud version are like the remastered.
Yeah,
versions.
Totally. That's a great point. But I mean,
either or though.
That's what I'm saying. They couldn't even do like a bare bones port on a cartridge of even just one of them, one or two. You know what I mean?
Or just a digital version that we can purchase.
Totally.
Nothing
like else. They did with Final Fantasy VII. Like, was Correct. That so hard? But anyway, bittersweet, but more bitter than sweet. Let's just agree on that.
Yeah, because I feel like that means we're never going to get these games in any other version on the Switch.
Yeah,
which is
they dropped the option. I mean, these would have to completely bomb to an extent to where they're like, the cloud thing is not working yet. But I honestly could see people purchasing this, dude. It's Kingdom Hearts on Switch.
Yeah.
We'll see. Maybe we'll look at numbers later on, and that'll be interesting. Something to talk about. The next thing is something to talk about, Tyler, and it's the Portal Companion Collection.
How much have I talked about the Portal games on the podcast thus far? I feel like they come up all the time.
Absolutely.
But now they're going to be available on the Switch, which is just like our comfort zone.
That is certainly our comfort zone. And when this comes out, we're going to play Portal 2 together.
I'm so glad that you've already committed to this because I've brought up the Portal 2 co-op multiple times as being just like a standalone awesome experience. So really excited that we'll be able to enjoy this together. And it's been so many years that I played it that it'll be still fresh for me. So really looking forward to that. And
it's funny because I've always owned both Portals on Steam. Didn't play 2 a whole lot, though. I got to be honest with you. The first one, love it. Played through it multiple times, love it. I'd be a sucker and get this just to actually play through the original Portal on Switch. I think it'd be fun. When it comes to Valve, I'm sure that it's not going to be lacking in features. I'm sure there's going to be gyro and all the whole nine. It's going to have everything that the system can provide or controllers can provide, you know. So I can't wait for it. I think that'll be great. 1 and 2, that's what the collection contains, you know. But the release date, they just said available this year. So, I mean, is it tomorrow? Yet. Is it 3 months from now? Who knows, man?
But when it does come, you'll know because we will play it and talk about it.
No question, dude. The next one is one I'm highly interested in. And it's a game called Live Alive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you kept mentioning this.
Coming July 22nd. This is a game that was apparently never released in the West. Or outside of Japan at all, for that matter. And they're doing a 2D HD version of it, so I haven't even seen what the original looks like. But it's a very beautiful Octopath triangle strategy style we see here. And I am living for it. I mean, I love it. They kind of have their own flair on how they're doing it in this game. It kind of looks older, honestly. It doesn't look as like overly refined and polished as Triangle Strategy or even Octopath. But I love the way it looks. Absolutely. The way the colors pop, just it's like the Triangle Strategy with a little bit of a minimalist vibe to it, but it's very polished. I am living for it. It's probably going to be a little bit pricey. RPG backlog is heavy, but we definitely have interest here, Tyler. This looks amazing.
Yeah, we'll have to see what the price point looks like.
Yeah, I should look into that. I should have got a price on that. But the next one, quite a bit to talk about. Nintendo Switch Sports.
Oh, man, yeah.
Strange emotions whenever this first started to pop on the screen.
Yeah, you weren't too keen on the graphics of it.
I don't want to say not too keen as much as I was expecting the just a remaster of not even a remaster, man. You see, the real me wants ports. If they were like Wii Sports as it was with Joy-Con play, I'd be about as hype as you could be on this. But the models, the 3D models of the characters and everything look a little bit more updated. I guess a little closer to something like ARMS if I had to compare it to something.
Yeah.
But just not as appealing to me visually as Wii Sports, for example. Now, like I said, that's just nostalgia talking probably. But I think the games look great.
The characters looked really different than Wii Sports, but when they showed the demo of the actual gameplay, which we won't get too far into, but it was kind of ridiculous.
I'm sure if you're listening, you heard the direct or watched the direct and saw this hilarious gameplay demo.
The characters for the two guys did look kind of like Mii's in the face.
Definitely. There's a Mii feature, I think.
So there may be something there, but the realistic bodies and everything, I agree. It's a little bit strange, but I'm really excited to play this game, so I'm willing to give it a try despite how kind of awkward the characters look.
I guess awkward's a good way to put it. I think what I was thinking is kind of kiddie. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's just like uncanny almost. And everybody looks kind of strange.
Yeah, and they're going through and they're listing the sports, and I'm thinking about how, these games that we have, these sports games we already have on Switch are so great. You start factoring what sports you have and which sports you don't, and it starts to be a bit difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But the sports on this are going to be bowling, tennis, shambara, which I'm not familiar with, soccer, which we wanted to mention is a leg attachment for the Joy-Con for the soccer. Pretty interesting.
Which looks pretty cool.
Yeah. Badminton, volleyball, which we saw. And then fall update bringing golf. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's what we really live for. I might wait to pick this up until that comes around.
That's not a bad idea. I am not sure if I'm going to be purchasing this. If it was Wii Sports on Switch, like Wii Sports Switch Edition, I'd be on that. I mean, I'd be freaking out. I'm on the fence for this, but what I will be partaking in, there's going to be an online play test of this game.
Yeah.
It's going to be limited with what you can do with what sports you can play, and I think it's just single matchmaking.
Mm-hmm.
But that's going to be from February 18th to the 20th, and it's open to everybody.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
I'd certainly like to contribute,
Definitely.
if they want people to involve themselves in helping them get the connections right and get some data, I'd certainly like to assist in that for sure. You like to see first-party Nintendo software perform, of course.
Definitely, and you like to see that they're willing to take this information and try and proactively improve things.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that they might maybe put some of that money aside for Star Fox or DK or F-Zero.
Oh, man.
Golden Sun.
It'll come. It'll come, man. Live Alive, by the way. Or Live Alive? Live Alive?
I think it's Live Alive.
Live Alive, July 22nd. I don't know if we said
we
that.
Did.
$49.99.
$50. See, $50 is going to be something they put on like any of these 2D HD, I think. It's cool that they didn't go 60, but when you consider the time you get out of these games, it's not a bad price. It's all about how many games you're trying to purchase at one time for that price.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Some of these releases stack. Now, that's not too bad. July, I can't think of anything in July of right off top that's coming.
No.
So perhaps, if
we'll be riding the Mario Strikers high.
Oh, man.
Still at that point.
We'll see if there's a physical. That's going to make a huge difference. I'm not dropping 50 on it digitally. If there's a physical, we'll see. But Triangle Strategy, we got a new prologue demo available now. You can play this demo to Chapter 3, and you can transfer your save data if you purchase the game. This is what we love to see, and this is what sold me immediately on Octopath. Now, that sounds even more limited, because I thought, oh, wow, they give you a 2-hour timer. You get 2 hours with this game. I said it before. If 2 hours doesn't sell you on Octopath, then I don't know what taste you have. I'm not trying to offend anybody. But you kind of just get free reign to start the game as if you own it. So that's, to me, that's really a great introduction.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, and transferring your save data, you could just pick right up. You're not even starting the game on release day. You actually get to just continue your file. That's what I did with Octopath, as a matter of fact. So you love to see that.
Yeah.
We are so ready for Triangle Strategy. I mean, like, that's one of the hypest releases this podcast has talked about, period.
And we've been talking about it for so long.
We have. They announced this way out, which they also did with Bravely Default 2, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was announced pretty far out.
Yeah.
But moving on, man, Cuphead, the Delicious Last Course DLC. June 30th is the date they said for Switch. I don't know if that matches up with everything else. Either way, I probably would pick it up on Switch regardless because that's where I play my Cuphead. So they showed some gameplay of Miss Chalice, and there's some new mechanics involved. Double jump, rolling dodges. At first, I was wondering if they were going to make Miss Chalice like an easy mode character, kind of like they did with Toadette and things like that, you know? But it doesn't particularly seem that way, just because Cuphead's a difficult game, and I can't imagine them implementing a character that would make it super easier.
No, it might make it slightly easier for the everyday person to play, but it's not going to make the game easy by any stretch.
Totally, yeah. You're still going to have to be able to play with Miss Chalice good to get anywhere.
Correct. But just excited to see more bosses and levels coming out, more content for the game. It's been a few years since the game came out.
Yeah, I love to see DLC coming. It's so cool that they didn't just have a show coming and everything. They actually put out game content. I mean, you love it, dude. And that's such a smart business strategy to have these things kind of alongside each other.
Definitely.
Just it rekindles hype in the game, which would rekindle hype in a show. So
Correct.
It's great. I mean, I couldn't.
And then the show can introduce people to the game franchise, and they find out there's new content available at the same time and everything.
Absolutely. So we're looking forward to that, man.
They'll probably sell a bundle with both, and that'll be what new people can go and just get right off the bat.
Totally, and I could see that getting a hot sale, but not that matters. But we're not waiting long enough for a hot sale to get this. I think I'm going to be getting that pretty immediately.
Most likely, yeah.
But for people who own Metroid Dread, they announced a free update. And I got to say, I got really excited for a second. It's cool what they added, but I got really excited, man. I thought they were going to announce some type of expansion of some sort, like a DLC or something, which I'd be all on. I actually been playing Dread since the last podcast more than I did before, man. And progressing through it, it's so good, dude. It really is. I have to reiterate that. They added a rookie mode and a dread mode, so you can imagine what two sides of the spectrum that is. Yeah. Dread is a one-hit death mode all the way through. Rookie mode simplifies the game. It looks like you start off with...
It's an insta-kill mode.
Absolutely,
that's
yeah. So people are going to have fun with that. Metroid Dread is hard. I think anyone who's played it will tell you it's not an easy game. Progressing through it feels so good.
Yeah.
Especially when you get past the Emmys. When you take down one of these Emmys finally, you have never felt safer than when you know this thing is not lurking in this area from here on. So, cool to see a free update. Boss Rush mode also available. That's pretty awesome, dude. I mean, bosses are kind of like, in a way, the highlight of Metroid, especially the older games. The boss fights are so glorious. I mean, even the first encounter, like with Ridley on Super Metroid, everybody just so fondly remembers how just huge that was, So cool to see a free update for it. Even cooler is to see our newest additions to the Switch Online, NES, and Super Nintendo catalogs.
Yes, sir.
That is Earthbound on the Super Nintendo and Earthbound Beginnings on the NES. We couldn't be happier.
Yeah.
And
finally get to play.
We are not alone, Tyler. Everyone is ecstatic about this.
Yes.
It's almost a meme at this point with people in the chat. Like I said, I was looking at the chat before it started up. Earthbound, every other comment. I'm sure maybe something leaked I wasn't aware of. Might have been some beforehand knowledge of something maybe. But I like keeping out of that loop and just being surprised by whatever they got to show. But Earthbound on Super Nintendo, we're living for it. I purchased this on the 3DS Virtual Console and enjoyed it quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you or I owned it as a kid. And ever will. I mean, it's so expensive.
Yeah, I had no idea who Ness was until Smash 64.
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with Earthbound before we got to look at, when Ness was on 64, and then we got to actually read about him with the trophies on Melee.
Yep, exactly.
And of course, we realized we missed out on one of the gems of our generation, of our lifetime.
Absolutely.
But Earthbound Beginnings, now this one might not be as familiar to people, but I think I told you I owned a repro of this game at one point. The only repro I ever owned.
Interesting.
And it was just because I saw it for a reasonable price. It looked like I think it was like a time walk. Like it was basically a company that did it. It wasn't like a person who made it at home. So I thought it was kind of cool. And I thought it'd be cool to play, the Famicom Earthbound. So I got it and eventually realized the price that it was going up for, the version I had, and kind of realized I didn't really want to own a repro, to be honest with you, Tyler. And so I flipped it on eBay along with a lot of things that have come and gone over the years, and made a pretty little penny off it. Nothing too crazy, but twice what I paid for it,
Nice.
Just repros rub me the wrong way, but I don't mind if someone wants something Japanese on a US cartridge or something like that.
Yeah. If there's no official release of that version, I think it's all fair game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but it's cool to see it playable on NES Online. I mean, that's great. As soon as I saw that announcement, I immediately grabbed the NES Online controllers and popped them on the charge because I knew I was starting up Beginnings.
Yep. Much needed.
Yeah. But they're going to have to wait, though, because Paper Mario is currently in progress. That's my N64 focus at the moment.
Yeah.
As far as the Switch goes, But this Direct, man, I got to tell you, we come along and we're coming to the climax here, and it's so crazy to think about. We got Mario Kart flashed on the screen to us, and suddenly we're shitting our pants. I know you were.
Yeah, I was.
Now, crazy to think they'd release content for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and we would be so ecstatic.
Correct.
But
I didn't know how to feel right away.
When they confirmed the volume, I knew how to feel. And then on top of that, let's just go through it. The booster pass for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. This is going to be featuring 48 courses spanning across the entire series, remastered for the game. 6 waves of 8 courses. Wave 1 coming.
48 tracks.
48 tracks. Wave 1 coming March 18th. Now, they announced this as $24.99. I literally grabbed for my Switch to go purchase it. And then until they said, if you own the expansion pack, completely free. That's what we love to see, Tyler.
Return on investment. I mean, this DLC is $25.
Man.
The expansion pack is $30 a year.
And they could have got me for the expansion pack charge, and I would have paid the $24.99 for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So you would have as well. So
This is must-own content.
This is crazy, man. Yeah, we get it for free.
I mean, this is an entire 48 courses. That's like about how much is on the game right now, right? There's 16 cups right now?
Yeah.
So
double. We're doubling.
Doubling it up a little bit, or a significant addition to the library. And it's funny because you've mentioned the term Mario Kart Ultimate before, and that's almost what we're getting here.
You're actually right. I think I might have said that I'd be happy with them keeping this engine, this game with every course.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the end game, right? Like, I mean, now they could come out with future Mario games and have new courses. But I feel like as far as every course from the whole series, man, they're going all out.
let me run this by you, Sterling. They're clearly developing Mario Kart courses, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what if in a year's time from now, or maybe 9 months, they say, all right, we're coming out with Mario Kart 9. Everyone who owns this content from 8 Deluxe, from owning the DLC, has this content on 9 as well.
That sounds too good to be true, but that would be absolutely fantastic.
It's not that far-fetched for what they would do with the timing of how long the game has been out, and then we see them developing new content all of a sudden. I don't know.
It's a good point. I mean, that's the biggest point really, is when you think, wow, this game's been out for quite a while and they're dropping DLC for it. And not just DLC, but quite a bit of content, dude. This is overwhelming, coming out in
It wouldn't
waves.
surprise me if we see more like a newer Mario Kart game than 8 come out and this content be represented in that game.
We'll see what happens after the
That's
third
going to be
wave.
my bold prediction.
Yeah.
Based on nothing but gut feeling.
Now, it is interesting that Wave 2 and Wave 3 are just noted as releasing 2022 to 2023.
I thought it was all waves were going to be out by the end of 2023.
2023?
Yeah.
So we're talking over, hopefully by 20. Yeah, I mean, like, I guess all by the end of the year. But do you really think they'd come off the heels of this with a brand new one, or would they wait?
I
mean, what do you
see it
think?
happening. 2024, that'll be right in time for, maybe the next iteration of the Switch a couple years down the line.
Oh,
and they have a
hey, you got a great point there. They might be setting up for the next one,
and then they have a ready-made catalog of a ton of courses available from day one.
And
plus whatever,
And then, obviously, if Switch cartridges aren't available, there'll come a day where we'll be like, yeah, on whatever console is the future one, we'll buy Mario Kart and Smash again. You know what I mean? If they released like a full package deal for like the older content, we'll double back. I mean, I think they know that.
I'm almost looking at it like Rock Band. Like I've owned Rock Band 1, 2, and 3. And all of the downloadable content songs that I own are playable on all 3.
That's cool. Yeah, that's a great point.
So that's kind of how I'm looking at this potentially.
Let's hope. How about that?
I would love that. But even, the next Mario Kart game aside, I'm very excited to have these courses coming out.
Do you want to go through the courses, Tyler?
Yeah, we may as well if you have them ready.
Yeah. So they're doing Paris Promenade for Mario Kart Tour. Interesting to see tour tracks on this list. Because there's 3 of them, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Tokyo Blur from Tour. Toad Circuit from 3DS. We love Mario Kart 7. Shroom Ridge from DS. I'm loving this. I mean, Mario Kart DS is one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Choco Mountain on 64. Do I even need to say anything? That was my number
Stands
one
alone.
On our track
one of
list.
The all-time greats.
Number 1 on our track list.
Yeah.
Let's just keep that known. GBA Sky Garden. I love Super Circuit. It's actually one of the GBA games I still own. Mm-hmm. So cool to see Sky Garden just with this screenshot. Amazing. Coconut Mall from Wii. I know a lot of people are happy about this.
Mm-hmm.
And Ninja Hideaway from Tour. This is just the beginning of this list, man.
Yeah, there's going to be how many more tracks besides this? Like, it's honestly insane.
This is just 8 of the 48.
That's right.
And yes, you are correct, Tyler. We should be getting 6 waves by 2023. That is absolutely amazing, bro.
Yep.
So
that's we broke it down earlier, did the math on that. That means that on average we should be getting a new course every a new wave every 3 to 4 months, which each wave is like 8 courses, 2 cups. So that's amazing.
Well, if there's 6 waves, I don't think they'd be 3 to 4 months apart.
Yeah, we did the math, man. There's, until the end of 2023, there's 22 months. 22 divided by 6.
That's what I was confused about. Is this
3.6.
spanning to the end of 2023 they're talking about?
Yes.
That is insane to me. I can't. That is crazy. That confirms at least 2 years more of the Switch. I mean, people talking about, are we at the middle? Are we at the end? That's crazy. I mean, that they would go that far out with it. Now, it could always overlap, of course, but I don't see that being the case.
Yeah. So, but I'm just excited because that's, every few months we're going to have a new little infusion of Mario Kart content to enjoy, and that'll give us plenty to talk about on the Star Road podcast.
We love it, dude. I can't wait for it. Even just wave one, like it doesn't even have to be a big surprise. Like you could you could have told us what everyone from start to finish was, and you'd already have me. But guess what, Tyler? We get it for free.
Yep.
So the big closing thing on the Direct, I wish you could be as excited about it as me.
I'm excited for you.
Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I am so excited for this, bro.
The trailer looked amazing.
It really did. And to find out that this is what seems like a prologue situation to the other Xenoblade games. Like I said, the Titans seem to still be in combat and everything. This looks pretty amazing. And honestly, as far as RPGs go these days, as much as I like Xenoblade 2, that this is about the hypest sequel to something I can think of that I would expect a sequel from. Let's put it that way. In the RPG territory, I mean, this is incredible. So all they said was September. That's a definite purchase from me.
That's not that far off for a game like this.
I can wait for it, absolutely, because the amount of time that these Xenoblade games demand.
You've been playing Triangle Strategy up until
then. Yeah, man, and I've been wanting to double back on Bravely 2 and finish my file on there. And
Xenoblade 2, right? You still have some work to do on there.
I do. I'm very far along, but it's a crawl, dude. You could truck through it, and it's a crawl. There's a lot to it. You're getting your money's worth out of these RPGs, people. Xenoblade is no exception. So what a Direct, Tyler. I've got to say, they're always going to have ups and downs, of course. But when it's high, dudes. These big announcements are insane. Walking away from this, Strikers on Switch, Mario Kart content, flurry of RPGs. I mean, Triangle Strategy's right around the corner. Xenoblade 3 is just crazy, man. Amazing Direct.
Unbelievable.
But it's funny because, these days we get Pokemon Presents for the Pokemon announcements. So at first, the first thing I thought was, oh, man, I wonder if they're going to announce Home for Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. And I was like, oh, wait, that's the Pokemon Presents these days. They don't really talk about Pokemon on Direct too much nowadays. They kind of reserve that for the Pokemon Company. But, hey, let's look forward to a Pokemon Presents, man. I could see that coming before too long. Arceus is out, and that's the last thing they talked about.
Yep.
And that's what we're talking about today. Pokemon Legends Arceus. Segue. Yeah. I actually didn't mean for it to go as smooth as it did. So it's very fortunate. But today we're doing a review of Pokemon Legends Arceus. And I think I can start it off by saying Tyler and I are both blown away by this game.
That's a definite. It's hard to know where to start because the game is so radically different than a main series, Pokemon game. But at the same time, there's so many similarities. It's almost like they took everything to love, the battle system, the Pokemon themselves, wild encounters and catching from the main series, stripped away everything else and replaced it with Breath of the Wild. Like,
for the most part, yes.
That's really what it feels like.
It feels so much like Breath of the Wild in the experience. Of course, you're not as versatile as Link per se.
Not in movement and stuff like that, I agree.
But as far as vibe and the HUD and just even the text of the game, just the way that some of the text appears, the sound effects, the range of music, because one thing I noticed about this, sometimes my girl and I were both playing this. I think she put like 5 hours or so more into it than I did even.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I'd have to double check that the music was coming from the game, because I'm like, the variety of emotions that the different music in this game has is limitless. They have sad music, uplifting music, happy music. It's crazy. I mean, like they must have such an extended score on this game.
Mm-hmm.
And it all sounds beautiful. I mean, they really went above and
does.
beyond for music that's supposed to be so subtle. There's so much work put into it. But it doesn't ever interfere with that, like, in the grass, crouched down, stalking a Pokemon. It never takes you out of it.
No,
It's almost
I
as
agree.
if, like, the game knows when to, like, quiet down and be, like, dead silent.
It really does. It blends that silence in
It's very
beautifully.
immersive.
Yeah, I'm just really, really loving how the research system works. It's like the backbone of the game.
Yeah, the experience, basically. I mean, the way you love just the star ranking. I actually really am a big fan of the star ranking research system, because this
Yeah,
is the
basically,
first development of a Pokedex.
it feels like you're getting Xbox achievements for catching and defeating Pokemon in certain ways. And that to me is it almost feels like the one thing that's been missing from Pokemon in the past to really just get your brain hooked even more. You know what I mean? Is just measurable achievements for catching and defeating Pokemon to fill out the Pokedex. Like,
And thematically, it makes too much sense, because this is the first documentation. Technically, we're doing this on pen and paper
yep.
with a quill,
Yep.
probably. So this is the first documentation. Normally, when we get thrown into these Pokemon games, we already have a dex that's completable. Like all the entries are
Yeah.
known, but we're just filling it. This is like, we don't know what's in it. You got to come
Right.
tell us.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of the time. I mean, I've sunk about 30 hours into it, and a lot of the time I spent was really trying to max out the research levels on the Pokemon, which you actually don't have to do a whole lot. You battle it a few times, catch it a few times.
Catch it in a few certain ways.
Yeah. Meet the requirements for some of these tasks, And
A lot of them you get organically just by playing.
absolutely, if you catch a bunch of Pokemon and encounter a bunch of different Pokemon, you're going to get experience. It really wants you to be exposed to a variety, is what it wants you to do. And it wants you to engage.
Yeah, I've been loving the difficulty. If you
Oh, yeah, dude. It is not
run up
easy.
if you run up against one of these raid boss, like
The alphas?
alpha Pokemon,
Yeah.
that for instance the Parasect, like I hit a brick wall on that
Yeah,
thing.
dude. Me and my girl didn't even go down there. We saw it from above and we're like, that's a turnaround, bro. We're going back.
So I fought that thing twice trying to catch it.
I
and
wouldn't-
it wiped
dude,
me both times.
I wasn't even trying to have nothing with it, dude. I knew it before I even
It
jumped
was a
down
waste
there.
of time.
I figured. I remember the first one I saw was like after, of course, like the Cricketune that's part of the story.
Yeah.
I remember seeing the Snorlax around the corner and
Yep,
being
I
like,
saw
"Oh
that from afar
shit!"
too. Yep, I really want
And
that.
that is so cool, coming across these alphas in the Rapidash in the middle of the field, bro. Like you feel like you need to proceed with caution, because I feel like the aggro on these alphas is like way wider.
And they will mess you up pretty bad if they hit
And
you.
physically, like your character, it's so crazy that you can like get hurt and pass out in the wild. I mean, let's be honest, dude, if this was not Nintendo, you'd be dying. You'd be
And that's
mauled.
basically what it feels like.
Yeah.
And there's actually it doesn't feel it feels difficult, right? You can craft your own revives, you can craft your own potions, you can fast travel back to a camp. But even despite all that, I found myself running low on items and having difficulty, because I was trying to do so much research on the way, having difficulty going between objectives without really getting beat up pretty bad by all these encounters and everything.
That's interesting. I had a different experience, but I think it's because I spent a lot of time just foraging for these resources to stock up for the progression. So I wound up with like 100 something apricorns and the tumblestones, and then I'm just set on balls. And I find that if you come across the stuff for potions and everything, the recipes are awesome. Like actually taking a potion, combining it with like what is it, like a pep up plant, just combining it, and it's a super potion.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of like I said earlier, man, it's like we're doing the ritualistic ancient method of making balls by crafting them that Kurt did, and that was passed along to him. Because the interesting thing about this game, Tyler, now the story doesn't seem to have a whole lot of depth, but you got to admit not yet, but the way it kicks off is very interesting, because we're being basically sent from another time, which is basically what in real life we're doing. Yeah. It's like they're sucking our childhood self through time forward to where we are now.
Oh, I see.
From like Diamond and Pearl.
It's kind of meta.
I mean, like, it seems like this might fall into an interesting timeline, as in this is the beginning. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it definitely feels like that. And you see a lot of elements that we have come to expect from Pokemon games, but in a very primitive fashion, like you said.
It's completely like they're making this canon to Diamond and Pearl, which therefore makes it canon to the series. Which therefore places it first in the series. It's interesting, but I think you get more story into Diamond and Pearl, and it almost gives background to why they're even called Diamond and Pearl, even more than the games themselves did. And this is coming.
The Sinnoh region, they're worshiping a god named Sinnoh and everything like that.
Yep, and I loved it because when my girl fired up the game, she's like, "Wait a minute, Jubilife Village." I'm like, "That's right. You're where Jubilife City is. Let that sink in." Because she's been, I mean, she was playing Brilliant Diamond even past when we kind of chilled on it, you know?
Yep.
And so, dude, it's just so cool that everybody that is familiar with Diamond and Pearl get that experience. And that this came right after the remasters.
Yeah.
Or the remakes. I mean, it's
really
incredible.
Interesting.
I was thinking about how great of a job Ilka did, too. I mean, like, we shouted them out, but Ilka did a great job. If they wanted to continue to do like games like Arceus, put all their effort into that, you know, Game Freaking, and let Ilka handle like the old school ones, I'm fine with that.
I'm inclined to agree. Definitely. It's hard to picture a Gen 9, right, after all this with, you know, the Sword and Shield engine.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Like, I would expect this engine or like an improvement on this engine they've got for the, you know,
for the Diamond and Pearl.
Absolutely. I would expect this to be consistent, and you know, it blew over pretty well. I mean, the game sold as a Pokemon game would, despite concerns with it not looking like, you know, Witcher 3, which I think is what most people want from Pokemon. There's been a lot of talk about the visuals. My girl and I had a pretty lengthy conversation about how Pokemon, it's not really something we're looking to look like The Witcher 3. It actually would be uncomfortable if Pokemon took that route.
Definitely.
And started to get hyper realistic, and all of a sudden it just
weirdly violent.
It's got to stay to some extent. I don't want to say cartoony, but it's got to be rooted in fiction. Yeah. To where it can't be hyper realistic. I think they did just what they needed to do with this. It's a visual improvement on Sword and Shield, and that's what you would have hoped for. And I even think Sword and Shield, I mean, visually, I didn't have an issue with the game. Some things were basic, of course, but you're not really playing it to be like, oh man, I'm going to use this to show off how great the graphics on the Switch are to my friends who come over and don't know what a Switch is. That's not about at all, you know.
And that's not really what the Switch is about in the first place.
Not at all. But of course, people are always going to try to make an argument for, oh, the Switch can run this so good. Look, you know. So that's the reason I say that.
It's not necessary.
Not necessary at all, because it's really not. I mean, what we do, we're talking about 8-bit games a lot of the time that are not regarded in most cases as being the best looking thing, even though they've aged pretty well and people acknowledge that. Mm-hmm. The graphics are
to the point where, you know, in the last 10, 12 years, people have been making games in that 8 to 16
Yep,
bit style,
and it hasn't died out yet. It hasn't died out yet, and my interest hasn't died out yet. So
right.
Don't think it ever will. But Arceus seems to be a whole new experience, and I found it to be even more of a new thing to us because for a change, my girl pushed past me in the story, and she's teaching me things. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
the game has just changed up just enough to where when you go in with knowledge of it, you're going to truck along, but you're going to have to learn a few new things.
I find myself still having a lot of like opening the wrong menu or navigating to the wrong menu quite frequently. I'm sure I'll overcome that, but
If you're,
there's so many different things. Like every button on the controller has a purpose or multiple purposes in this game. There's just a lot of different aspects to keep track of.
did you turn autosave off immediately upon starting?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't imagine this game autosave. I can't imagine a Pokemon game autosaving. I really have to have control over when my game is saved. It's got to happen.
Yeah, I did the same thing on Brilliant Diamond.
Same. But there's so much in this game that it seems like it would make sense that things were much different 100 years ago. That's the insinuation we get. It's 100 years prior to basically where you were in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. It's taking you through a wormhole from there.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like a prequel to everything. So it's cool that we go straight from that into this, and they kind of have a story transition from it.
Yeah,
because you show up in modern clothes, and they're like, "Hey, what is this? Like, who are you? What your clothes look strange?" And then you're in like ancient Japan, is what it seems. It's very interesting. Things would be much different. It would be much more difficult. I find a big thing I wanted to talk about with you is the difference in the value of money on here.
Oh, yeah.
So now that I haven't purchased a single Pokeball. Whatever package the rare item vendor has, like, I'll get it. And the first one just so happened to be like 30 Pokeballs for like 2,500. You don't know what it is ahead of time. But I was like, hey, 30 balls for that. That's a steal anyway, even if I craft my own. But all of a sudden, I'm not buying potions, not buying revives, not buying hardly anything. So things like the upgrade to your inventory and things like that can be managed without getting too much money. You get money, like compensation for the research you turn in. And that
feels balanced.
Yeah, it's like you're not gonna. Most of the time, you go through these Pokemon games with the amulet coin, and you're just rich.
Even without it, you don't ever want for money.
Definitely, but when it comes to like
this
cosmetic stuff,
I find myself getting broke like every time I get the chance, and I'm right now where I'm at in the game. I'm spending money as fast as I make it.
Then there's a lot of cool, like, as you progress through the game, they unlock like outfits and going pretty extensive. I'd say even more extensive already almost than Sword and Shield, and that was pretty thorough with their clothing selection from like city to city.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like even when you just progress the story you don't even have to particularly defeat one of the area bosses or anything like that. The store will update, and they've got all these Pokemon specific clothing items. And I like the woven hat. I really haven't taken that off yet. That's my style for this time period. I thought it was cool they had the Team Galactic modern day outfit as the bonus for.
Oh yeah. I haven't thumbed through the outfits too much yet, to be honest with you.
There's some cool stuff, man. There really is. I stuck with the. I got this cool ass fox mask, like a Japanese fox mask, kind of like on Animal Crossing, and kind of just kept the rest of the outfit. I actually think the outfit you get aside from the hat from the Survival Corps is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Or the Survey Corps, my bad.
I really love games where they have side missions that are widely variable. Just all of the favors and requests that you can do for people, they're all over the map with what they ask you to do, and I really, really enjoy doing stuff like that.
I'm so glad you bring that up, because isn't it great to like finish a main part of the story, come back to town, and then everywhere there's side quests available. Yep. Almost to the point where they utilize as many of the NPCs as possible.
it feels like every NPC has a purpose or will have a purpose.
Definitely. They're not there
Every
for
single
nothing.
one.
Even if they just want to see a Pokedex entry for a certain Pokemon.
And I love that.
I love
and I
it,
haven't
dude.
even gotten into most of the ones that I've done. Anyone that comes up that I was able to complete it right away, I always check it. But any of the ones that involve me going out into the field and doing stuff, most of those I have not done yet. So I just have a huge backlog of side quests that I'm just going to tackle. And I'm really, really excited.
Did you see did you start the side quest for the wisps, the purple wisps?
I did start that, yep, and I got the first one.
It's like the Korok seeds of this game, dude. Another Breath of the Wild similarity.
Or the Zygarde pieces from Gen 7.
Totally, yeah.
That's the first thing I thought
That's a good shout, yeah. I guess I was thinking Breath of the Wild, so it's the first thing I thought of. I even find that some of the like really intense piano roll moments and shit like that almost sound
Definitely.
ripped. Not ripped, but taken straight from the game. Like
Inspired.
definitely. Like when you start a battle and you get that little music like flare, it sounds like Breath of the Wild when something like caught it. You know, you caught its attention and it's like it's on. And then even
Or the music that plays when you're approaching one of these alphas.
Yep.
It gets really frenetic.
And the
it feels
cutscene.
very similar to like the Zelda battle type music.
Definitely. So many similarities to draw between the two, man. But this is basically, I mean, I'd say it's everything we hoped for, to be honest with you. I mean, the game is stopping me from progressing because I'm just along the way. It's like that excitement of getting into new areas and not running in grass and doing random encounters, but like seeing from a distance what's in this next area. And you're like, holy shit, there's 5 things that I haven't even seen yet in this area.
It feels and it gives some value to catching multiples or actually fighting wild Pokemon.
Definitely, and that's what I find interesting, man, is that before a lot of times when we're trucking through, we'll catch one of everything to document it unless we, you know, have some intention for having more than one. Most cases, you just catch it to dex it, move on.
Yep.
But this is such a different case.
And you would never fight a wild Pokemon past a certain part of the game either.
Definitely. But this takes it to where, like you were talking about with side quests, a lot of times catching multiples, even without the research, somebody wants one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the more popular side quests, you know, that people want to see dex entries for completed. And then also some people straight up want a Pokemon.
Yeah, and it's part and parcel because you need to do a bunch of different catches and defeating them
exactly
to fill out those dex entries.
So it nudges people if somebody's not maybe getting the point, it nudges them to that goal.
To the point where I've never really been much of a dex completionist. I've talked about this before. It was never a big part of the Pokemon games for me. But because it's so inbuilt to the progression of this game, I find myself wanting to complete those research, you know, fully complete, get to research level 10 for like every single Pokemon.
Yeah, the older I got, the more into filling the decks I got, to where as a full-grown adult now, when I play a new Pokemon game that comes out from like 3DS on, I'm trying to fill the decks actively, especially with these trading options we get, which I was so curious whether or not we were going to have trading on this, but it seems like we do, bro. It's pretty cool to see that.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to that point, but I think I'm getting pretty close because I'm not too far behind where you are.
Yeah, me and my girl were going to trade, but there wasn't a huge variety in things that we had unique from each other. Mm-hmm. Our dexes are like exactly the same number right now, and it's almost exactly the same Pokemon aside from an evolution or two.
Yeah, some trade evolutions will have to be done at some point. For sure.
Yeah, and you know what's cool, dude? I read something on the internet about how you can evolve the tradable Pokemon by using an item called a linking cord on it.
Oh.
Isn't that an amazing throwback to the link cable?
That is amazing. But you have a way to acquire these without leaving the cartridge.
Now, I heard about that before I realized there was a trading function. So that led me to believe, oh, so we're not going to be able to trade from game to game, and there's one version. But that doesn't seem to be the case, man. I think when when you unlock the Lost and Found, you also get mystery gift and trading. which I would never have expected in this game. So that's really cool that you can trade with people. There is mystery gift. There's actually an outfit gift you should go claim if you haven't. And then the lost and found thing. People who are connected to the internet, they'll die in gameplay, drop items, which you do drop items when you die on here. And if you find their satchel in your map, you can return it for these merit points that you can buy exclusive items for.
Interesting. I didn't know anything about this.
Yeah, it's the woman standing by like the Togepi flag. At first she appears useless, but then like you find out she's like the merit point vendor.
Gotcha.
But the lost and found thing is cool, man. You just loot them from the wild, and I've gotten one of them and didn't even realize I got it. It was like, oh, you found this player's satchel, so here's 65 merit points. I'm like, oh, okay. Like you're naturally looting things, so things off the ground, the mushrooms and wood and shit like that. So I might not have noticed that that's what I picked up, but I think they're also marked on the map. Cool to see this online functionality in a game I thought was going to be isolated.
Yeah.
Which I would understand if it was isolated. It seems like a single player experience.
Definitely.
So to see them have bonus features on it to where we can trade with each other is pretty cool. But the linking cord, that's a great shout to the olden days. It's almost like it's an ancient time, so they wouldn't have had technology. They wouldn't have. Pokemon games have acknowledged Nintendo consoles in the universe. Every time you start an old Pokemon game, you're in front of a Nintendo system in your room.
Yep.
So they obviously wouldn't have an NES in ancient times. So, I mean, there's so much we could talk about, man. I mean, we've talked about the visuals, the music, the gameplay, the boss fights, I think are pretty awesome. We both have done the Cleaver one. We're working on the Crimson Mirelins. And it's funny, I'm a 3rd star rank right now, so I grinded a bunch. But to think that we're just getting into it is crazy. I already thought the first area is gigantic.
Mm-hmm.
So to think that there's, I told you we got the emblem on our card whenever we beat Cleaver, and you see 4 more slots for it. Didn't even notice them. To think that there's at least 5 areas like this, that's a lot of ground to cover. That first area, we moved past it story-wise, but we didn't explore all of it because we have to get stronger to go back and explore.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. I mean, there's so much ground to cover. And that trip to Grand Tree Arena on foot, pretty far.
Yeah,
if you ask me.
That was a rough trip.
Yeah. So it just seems like the game is full of content, man. It gives you the incentive to do things that halt the progression. Mm-hmm. But they don't halt your progression, though. You can increase your star rank from what it looks like to 10, but not even move forward in the story. Mm-hmm. You'll eventually have to find new Pokemon, but if you're moving area to area, man, I feel like there's going to be a point where you can cap out as far as the star rank goes.
Yeah. But I also feel like each star will be more and more and more EXP to get to.
Yep. Because like I said, dude, I'm just playing along normally, and the grind from 3 to 4, pretty intense. Yeah. Nothing like 1 to 2.
Yeah, so you'll see that just keep going up and up and up.
Yeah, it's going to take longer and longer every time you raise your level or your rank. Yep. But any closing thoughts, man? I feel like we did some pretty intensive talking about it.
We're going to continue talking about this. We both put a decent chunk of time into it and still have so much more to do. So I think that this is just going to be something that continues to be played.
Absolutely, man. Arceus is definitely going to be here to stay for quite a while. But we have a top 5 today that brings us back in time, and I think that's what we do best, bro, on this podcast, and in a way, is go back in time.
I agree.
I mean, that's really what most of what we talk about is rooted in, is the past and great games that we've seen over the years, and this is our top 5 magical game release memories.
Really excited. We didn't do an honorable mention collaborative on this one.
For the first time in episodes.
Yeah, and several. So I'm excited to hear. Do you want to start us off?
I will start us off, man. I want to give my honorable mention, and I'm starting off with the new releases first, just because I feel like the further we go back, the hyper I get,
Okay,
honestly. But I
sure.
want to start with Little Nightmares 2.
Okay. Wow, that's an honorable mention. You were definitely building up to that
Oh
one.
man, only two of these on here we were adults for. I'm just gonna
Hmm.
say that right off top. But one of the picks for me as an adult, Little Nightmares 2. As interested as I got, I should say fascinated by the first one, and just the world surrounding it. I just they announced this so far ahead of time, man. They gave us more than enough time to wait and be hyped for it. So when it finally came around, man, and just playing through it and getting that silent story that you love from Little Nightmares, it was just fantastic. It was like waiting years for this just cliffhanger, basically, and then getting the resolution. So it was just fantastic, man. It's a rough list to make, but we're talking specifically about releases. We can go on and on about how great certain games are, but we're talking about releases, and this was one of the hypest releases I could think of
Yeah,
making this
definitely.
list. What about your honorable mention, man?
So mine is a bit of a cheater because it's several games.
Hey,
But I alluded to this earlier in the podcast, but I actually have spent a lot of time in my life being a big fan of sports games. So my honorable mention, as honorable mentions go, is for Madden because there was about 7 or 8 years where every single year in August, I was counting down the days for the latest Madden release. And I was buying that on release day and playing online until I couldn't anymore. And yeah, that's not something I've done in many, many years now, but I look back upon that time fondly because I really enjoyed grinding the ladder on Madden Online, and every year was just a new hype time to do that. So I feel like it's worthy of being an honorable mention just because of the ritual. Like I said, 6, 7, 8 years in a row, it was just counting down the days for every Madden release, and then just grinding the ladder straight away. So yeah, that's my honorable mention.
that is incredible, man. I really wouldn't have expected Madden, and that's why it's incredible. But and at first I almost chuckled, but then you immediately got into the reasoning, and I totally understand because
Yeah,
I almost didn't think to the past.
right.
Thinking currently, that'd be silly. But
Madden hasn't been good for very
when you think
long.
back, though, man, just things have changed, and that really was a hype time. And I know you've played quite a variety of sports games over a variety of
Definitely.
consoles, so it's a big
Yep.
statement.
Yep. Madden and NBA Live and 2K and all that stuff. That's all stuff I have pretty good experience with. So, but Madden was the king for me,
Awesome, man.
where to the point where I feel like I could have played anybody and been competitive.
Hey,
So
you should have went competitive, man. You could have been on the scene.
I get too mad. Very few games make me rage like Madden. So it wouldn't have been good for my health if I really tried to take it anywhere.
Madden, yep. I'm gonna get my only other modern release out of the way for my number
Okay.
5, and that's gonna be Super Mario Maker 2
Yeah,
on the
definitely. That's a good
Switch.
one.
As far as hype goes, this was so exciting, man. I mean, like we talked about how we got new Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, and we had a 2D Mario, and we were happy. I mean, like, oh yeah, this is the go-to 2D Mario on Switch. Then they come along and announce Super Mario Maker 2, and we start seeing a lot of very appealing features. Just seeing Super Mario World and Super Mario Bros. 3 especially off top,
Hmm.
mixed in with like original SMB and this new Super Mario Bros. U engine, like just out the gate, the content they were
It's
offering
magical.
was incredible. We knew there was going to be like just easily accessible online levels, player ranking, the multiplayer, just everything that came with the package was fantastic.
Absolutely.
And it's one of the fondest releases I can think of. Otherwise, it wouldn't be on this list, Tyler.
Definitely.
And
That's a good pick.
we had
Man.
no idea where they were going to go with the updates of contents also. I mean, they just doubled the incredible factor as time would go by.
Definitely. My number 5 is tied to another specific memory. It's and these games are so different on this list to start than what I normally talk about, but it's Call of Duty Black Ops 2. This game came out at a time where I was living in an apartment with 2 other guys, and there was 2 or 3 other guys that would come over frequently, and we were all very into Call of Duty Zombies. Like that was like our bread and butter. And I remember Call of Duty Black Ops 2 came out, and it had some incredible zombies maps, and it was basically just a week straight right after release of just a constant rotation of 4-player zombies with all of us playing. And that specific memory is so fond to me, and it sticks out of my mind that it had to come in at number 5 on my list, because it was just a blissful time of just zombie massacring.
I would be right there with you, but I've mentioned it before on the podcast. I got a laser ring on my disc, day 2. So that was a pretty bad experience.
Unbelievable.
Day 2, and I didn't even hit the console or anything like that I can recall, man. It just did what it did, and it was a dead disc, and I was like, I'm done with this game. Not buying it again. It's over with after the first day.
So tragic, dude.
Coming off the heels of the only Call of Duty game I actually played at all was Black Ops. I was pretty stoked for Black Ops 2, and then that got shot down a bit. But
unfortunate.
It's okay. It's cool that it's on your list, though, man. That was a hype time. Zombies was cool.
Yeah.
But now we're going way back to the past. Next up on my list, number 4, Mario Tennis on Game Boy Color.
Oh, wow. That is way back.
We talked before about how sometimes our interests were shown very openly and very obviously to grandparents and close people of the sort in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
They were pretty aware of what we were fans of because we made it pretty obvious. We were pretty vocal about it. So you mentioned previously that, Mario Tennis was kind of a frequenter when you came over, and it was also frequented when you weren't over. So I think that, we talked about how not many games back in the day we got on release, but this was one that I think was a no-brainer for my grandparents, because I was obviously playing Mario Tennis a lot on 64.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they saw one come out for Game Boy on the Game Boy Color, and I'm walking around with a Game Boy Color, it must have been a no-brainer gift. Well-timed, So,
yeah, definitely.
I mean, a Mario sports game has to be on the list. Thankfully, definitely. I got to be around for the release of one at least.
Yeah. I feel like Super Rush could have easily made my list.
Oh, definitely.
Because we were very.
I can't believe you said it's not on your list, because I really thought it was going to be when you said, oh, yeah.
It's not on my list. It easily could be, though. I tried to mix in the new with the old, though. I couldn't just have 5 Switch games.
I gotcha.
My number 4 is a throwback a little bit.
Oh?
It's a throwback to a game that we have fond memories of.
Oh, man. What is
playing together.
Oh, man.
And that is Grand Theft Auto San Andreas.
Oh.
This game, very big in my life. It's probably one of the games I've mentioned before that I've put more time into than any other game. Up there with stuff like Melee and RE4 and, Pokemon. It's on that same level. But this came out, and I had to have it on release day. It was not optional. And I was old enough at this time to where I, had accumulated birthday money and would get chore money or odd jobs, Christmas, and I would try and sort of try and save anything I had for games. And this was one that I'm pretty sure I remember purchasing for myself on release day, or, that weekend at least.
Look at you.
And I know for a fact that I played it for about 2 to 3 days straight, just playing through the story, um, and only got to the end of Los Santos like after release. And I remember that very significantly because I was seeing people online talking about how they had already beaten the whole game, and I thought that that would be impossible because I had played so much time and wasn't really, I didn't think, getting too distracted, and I had only made it, roughly a third of the way through the game. So yeah. Anyway, that memory of just that time of getting the game and immediately falling in love with it and diving deep into the story and just deep into the game itself, it had to be on my list.
Yeah, man. As expansive as the game is, you can imagine how expansive it was to us at that time.
Absolutely.
You can't really gauge something like that unless you were there when it first came out and realized how big of a
Correct.
deal it was.
Yep.
But that makes it perfect for the
So,
list. I mean, it's literally what I would expect your list to be made of.
yep.
The next one on my list, number 3, The Legend of Zelda: Phantom Hourglass on the Nintendo DS, bro.
I definitely remember when you got this as well.
And this, like I said, this was the first ever game that I had experienced the GameStop pre-order process with.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom was kind enough to do that for me. She put the $5 down. I was like, oh, yeah, the game code. I think it was, I can almost remember, I think it was a March. If I had to look up the release date right now, I'm pretty sure it was March. And this was like 6 months in advance. I guess they were taking pre-orders pretty soon on it. But when I heard that there was a Zelda game coming out on the DS, that is like one of the most no-brainer things to us.
Yeah.
So Phantom Hourglass, amazing game. That $5 sat down on it for months, and then I finally got it on release day and was absolutely over the moon about it. I also love Spirit Tracks, the one that came after it, but Phantom Hourglass is very special. I'm a sucker for these DS graphics, dude. Like, the more rough around the edges sometimes, the more into it I am. I'm serious.
It didn't feel that rough at the time, though.
No. But when you look at like Wind Waker, of course there's a difference. But I'm just a sucker for it. Like that DS look, man, I love it.
Yep.
So Phantom Hourglass had to be on the list. First GameStop memory as far as pre-ordering goes. What an interesting thing, right?
Definitely.
And now we're in the day and age of Amazon. But we mentioned before, GameStop with the $5 down, that kind of makes parents be like, okay, I'll put $5 down on it. And then when they realize months later they're dedicated, you got a game.
There you go.
Maybe they don't know they can back out. Let's hope they don't know or ask.
For me, number 3 is where we start really getting into the heavy hitters.
I got some heavy hitters left. Trust me.
On the Nintendo side of things. For me, number 3 is going to be Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. This is a game that I feel like it almost brought us together in a way in a time that we hadn't communicated as much recently. And I do remember that, and I think fondly about that. But
really?
Yeah, to some degree. So, but just this game is what made me purchase a Switch, right? I've mentioned that many times on the podcast.
Yes.
The announcement of Ultimate was what led me to purchasing a Switch. So obviously that was a few weeks or a month or two in advance of the actual release. So I was very, very highly anticipating the game coming out because pretty much the only thing I had before was Mario Kart and Skyrim, if I'm not mistaken. So this is just the Switch like heavy hitter for me that I can't say anything else about it. It's the game that the release made me purchase a Switch ahead of time. So I feel like that in and of itself is noteworthy for my list.
That is incredible. And honestly, it is the other Switch pick I expected from you. I really thought that if you picked 2 Switch games, it would have been Super Rush and it would have been Ultimate.
Mm-hmm.
So I was 1 for 2. But I'm right there with you, dude. Number 2 on my list, Pokemon Ruby on the Game Boy Advance.
That's number 2 on my list as well.
Are you serious?
Swear to God.
It was there, number 2.
Number 2 on my list, my friend. It's right there.
Unbelievable. We are 2 peas in a pod, dude. Let's talk about the release just briefly of Pokemon Ruby on the Game Boy Advance.
Pokemon Gen 2 was where I cut my teeth, and I know that you played Gen 1 and then Gen 2 in order. I went in the reverse order, but Pokemon Ruby was the first time that I was a big Pokemon addict at the time of release. So for me, it was a no-brainer. It was something that I ended up, I don't know what the context of me getting my parents to buy it for me was, at the time, but it had to be done, and I am very glad that I was able to get it around release because the game was revolutionary, and I'm sure you feel the same.
I remember where I was. I just remember everything about the moment I got it, and I remember firing it up. When I start a new file on Emerald, because it's so funny, I almost forgot you sent me my childhood copy of Emerald back. And when I started putting the shelf back together and just taking things out, like from the special boxes I had, Emerald was in there. And I was like, look at that shit with my name on the back of it. And I was like, I actually have Emerald. Isn't that amazing?
It is.
But anytime I fire up a fresh game on any of them, Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, it takes me back to that day. Can't remember what the instance was, whether it was good grades or a birthday or something, but it was release day. I brought it up recently when we talked about the Game Boy Advance games. Pacing the porch, my mama told me, "Oh yeah, I'm getting it for you," and she got it, man. Popped that shit in, probably to my purple OG GBA with no backlight, and was in love.
Yep, Wormlight.
Wormlight, dude, still there. Such a throwback, dude. At number 2 for both of us, man.
That's so funny. Yeah.
I guess I'll kick us off with the number 1s then.
Go for it.
My number 1 on the top 5 magical game release memories, Tyler, is Super Smash Bros. On the N64.
Yeah, that tracks.
When I look at my childhood N64 cartridges that I'm lucky enough to have some of still, not all of them, but a good majority, Super Smash Bros. Is one that I still have, and this is one I got very close to release, if not on release or week of, and it's because of the same reason I said for Mario Tennis and things like that. I'm literally playing Pokemon, Mario, Super Metroid. There's literally Mario, Pikachu, Samus on the cover. Must have been the biggest no-brainer for the grandparents.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So this is one of the only 64 games I got like new. And when I think about what happened to that box, that shit probably got torn to shreds, Tyler. It hurts. But it happened. I have it. And it's a great memory, worthy of being number 1 on the list, because it's basically that first all-in-one Nintendo character experience. It's like a dream come true. Something we only would have like pretended existed, and they literally brought it to life. Like, oh, imagine if you can control all your favorite Nintendo characters in one game. Oh, and you're fighting each other.
Yep.
What a great idea.
Unbelievable.
So,
I mean, Smash is everything for me.
We each had a Smash game on our list, bro. I just had to take it back.
I understand. I don't blame you.
Number 1, though, bro. What is the most magical
My number 1
memory?
is Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Whoa. Now my girl is going to love this.
I just, for me, it's such a vivid memory, right? The pandemic had just started into full force. Things were miserable more than ever. And all I could think about is I need Animal Crossing. It was about a month from the time that lockdown really went into full effect to the time when Animal Crossing came out. And every single day we were on the countdown where, we need Animal Crossing. Release day comes, my Amazon delivery is delayed significantly. It released on a Friday. It was showing for Monday. So I made the executive decision to cancel my orders for my copy and my fiance's copy and purchase the games digitally, which I know makes you cringe, but I needed access right away.
No, I mean, my
And
girl owns it digitally.
I don't really regret it because it's the perfect game to own digitally in that you can play it at any time. Of course, it's Animal Crossing, so its significance warrants a physical ownership, but the in that moment, the difference of 2 days made it a no-brainer. 2 to 3 days, really.
I
So
understand.
it had to happen, and it was lockdown, so I wasn't going and getting it from the store.
Your your monologue on this was so inspiring, and I'm in such agreement that I really thought about putting it on the list, and I
Hmm.
can't say why I didn't.
Well, you don't have to. You can have it on vicariously through my number one.
But you're so right. The significance of like the time of lockdown, this coming out, as strange as things were, we still were just dying for Animal Crossing. I mean, I remember the direct, how hype we were, man. They had a whole Animal Crossing direct.
And this game brought us some comfort in that really difficult time. I mean, don't think
Absolutely.
that can be overstated.
And a time, and its success reflects the time. I mean, it's the second
Definitely.
best-selling Switch game. That says so much. But man, what a number one! I'm glad you did yours last because that really was a grand finale. It's deserving. It really is. We're
And
limited
we had
to.
the same number two as well.
Yep, we did, and we're limited to 5, or in this instance 6. So it just has to, it's a tough cut, man. But I feel like our lists, as always, accompany each other, and
Definitely.
they come together
Very
and
complimentary.
yeah, and they come together and there's the Star Roads list, the Star Roads
right.
top 10. But as always, we have to get into a 3-shop, Tyler. It's time.
Let's do it.
Me and Tyler talked about the 3-shop a bit, so there's a little bit of inspiration from him on this as well.
Yeah, the eShop is lit right now, especially if you love ports. There's a massive amount of ports and remakes on sale for another week from today. We're going to talk about a few of them, but
Yeah.
there's a lot that we're not going to talk about that is still worth looking into.
Yeah, I mentioned to you earlier, Nino Kuni is on sale for one more day from I think $50 or $60 to $9.99. Thinking about it. But Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, first game on the list. Everything on this list is until February 20th. That seems to be the day we're going to get some type of drop off or reset on the eShop, but that's a very widespread date for these sales. First one going to be Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, $15.99 from $39.99, 60% off. Highly recommend the game. Definitely, if it was still $39.99, I'd say drop 20 more bucks and get Metroid Dread. But as far as Metroidvanias go, $15.99, you will get your money's worth out of this game.
Absolutely.
I think it's fantastic. I played it all the way through and I can vouch for it. Next one, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2. Normally $39.99, down $29.99, 45% off. This is probably a trigger pull. I think we talked about it earlier. If each of us gets it, we're getting it. I think I'm going to get it.
So just the base game is $21.99. I remember.
Yep. The digital deluxe was like, what, $29.99? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's cosmetic stuff, it seems. Nothing
Nothing too crazy. But we're talking about both getting this. I own it on PC already, but I really would like to have it on Switch because having a controller, like you doing the Pro controller, is where I want to be.
Oh, yeah. And then when I realized, I was a bit ignorant to the fact that it wasn't coming to Steam. So when I realized that that's not happening, Steam Deck situation not happening, now I'm inclined to get it on Switch immediately.
And now's the perfect time.
And now is the
so.
perfect time because it's 45% off. So I think I'm going to be grabbing that. Something you mentioned grabbing, I'm not sure how serious you are on it, but we'll see. Terraria, 50% off, $14.99, cut down from $29.99.
No brainer.
No brainer. Terraria on Switch plays fantastic, by the way. I mean, a lot of people would prefer PC, and I understand. But for something like a shooter, I'm right there with you. But it translates to Switch very well. And I knew it would because I thought it translated to the 3DS even pretty well.
Yeah.
So it's totally worth getting on the Switch for $15. We're going to go ahead and make it a 4-shop. Me and Tyler talked about it, and we wanted to bring up, or kind of a 5-shop, really. Spyro Reignited Trilogy, 50% off, normally $39.99. We're talking $19.99. This is 3 Spyro games. All 3 I had on PS1 and enjoyed.
The 3 best Spyro games for me.
The 3 best Spyro games, period. I mean, this is the golden age of Spyro. So
Yeah.
you get to experience all of it in one collection for $19.99, and that also goes for the Crash Bandicoot trilogy, which I already own, and I've neglected playing. As a matter of fact, I really Warped is the one that I really played a lot when I was younger. That's the only one I had. So I went back and played a good bit of Warped, but I really didn't dive into the other ones.
Yeah, the first one I have infinite experience with.
No shit. Well, you were a Sony boy a bit when we were younger, and I was too, up until PS2.
Crash was one of my mainstays as a younger kid.
Understandably so. There's a unique charm to the PS1 3D to me as well.
Definitely.
A very unique charm, and I really find myself...
It was ahead of its time.
Yeah, but even the stuff that is considered primitive, I'm in love with. But then again, I love Quake and things like that, so it's no surprise. But that's the 3-shop, and that's the episode, Tyler. It was a lot to go through. We're touching upon 2 hours here, and it's no surprise. I mean, I'm actually surprised we're getting wrapped up the time we are.
Yeah, there was a lot to go through with the direct and everything, but if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or feedback, please reach out to us at starroadpodcast@gmail.com. As well, you can find us on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell. I can't get through that without laughing. It's
ridiculous,
so
yeah.
to say. But yeah, YouTube, and maybe some more video content in the future coming. This is something that Sterling and I have talked about lightly but not settled on. So stay tuned for that potentially in the future as well.
We're chewing on it, people. We're chewing on it.
We're chewing on it. We're ramping up to doing some stuff. So
yep, maybe some gaming.
More to come on that. But yes, Sterling, that's going to be it for us today.
It certainly is. Thank you for listening to the Star Road Podcast. I'm Sterling. This is Tyler. Go download the Triangle Strategy demo. Peace out.
Peace.